Guys, my name is Janet and I am the owner of Crafty Miss Janet. For today's video, I wanted to do these 12-ounce wine tumblers, and I did this forgot what I was gonna say. They're similar to each other, but they're different. This has two pattern vinyl strips on the edges, and this just has it on the top. I absolutely love how these came out, and I wish the camera could pick up how pretty this glitter looks. It actually makes it look darker than what it really is, but it's like a really pretty yellow goldish with like pink undertones to it, and it's so beautiful. So if you want to know how I made these, just stay tuned and keep on watching. So you want to start off with your tumbler prepped and painted. I already sanded mine and I spray painted it outside, and I just use a white spray paint. It's also a primer, so the coverage is really great on it. Now we're going to be doing two of these, but they're both going to be slightly different. For this one, we're going to add a vinyl strip to one side, and we're also going to add it to the other side. This is a little tricky because it does have a curb, but you just kind of have to play with it and be very patient so you don't get any bubbles or wrinkles. And I like to apply this with my tumbler facing down and line it up with the top. We are going to be cutting off the edge later on, so if there's any vinyl at the top peeking through, do not panic. You're going to want to do the exact same thing for the other side. So since we are going to be adding glitter and we're going to do epoxy method, we need to protect our pattern vinyl. And I'm just going to be adding masking tape to all the parts that have the vinyl. Now for the other tumbler, we're just going to be adding a strip of pattern vinyl to the top of the rim. And I like to face my cup down so I could get the line straight. And I just like to leave the paper backing on it just so I have more control of where I'm going to be laying down the pattern vinyl. You just want to go all around the cup, squeegee it out with your finger or your squeegee so you could prevent any air bubbles. Once you wrap all of the tumbler with their pattern vinyl, you are going to have a little piece left. So you just want to squeegee it down really well just so you're able to see the seam of the other side. And you just want to cut very gently so you don't cut yourself or scuff up the pattern vinyl, and you just want to peel it away. You want to cut it as close to the other side as you can. Now for the top of this tumbler, we do not want any vinyl peeking through. So we are going to be using this edge trimmer to trim off just a small section of the top part of the pattern vinyl. And this will also allow your vinyl to be sealed with the epoxy. I love using this edge trimmer because it gives it such a straight, clean edge and look to it. Now we just want to do the same thing as the other one. Since we're going to be doing epoxy glitter, you just want to cover up your pattern vinyl with some masking tape. I did 5 ml of both part A and B, so a total of 10. And you just want to add a very thin coat. Make sure you get it all around the cup and get ready for your glitter. Unfortunately, this glitter is discontinued from my vendor. Her shop actually closed down, so you can't get this exact same glitter. But it is kind of like a goldish, yellowish with pink undertones, and it's very pretty. So just make sure you coat both of your tumblers and the bottoms as well. I like to dip the bottom into like the little like pile of glitter just to get a better coverage. As soon as you're done applying your glitter, you want to immediately remove your masking tape, because since we are doing epoxy method, if it cures, it's going to be way harder for you to remove the masking tape, and you risk having some of that glitter or pattern vinyl damage. So now for the next step, we are going to be sealing in our glitter. There is several ways you can do this. You could do this with epoxy, Mod Podge, and clear spray paint. I like to use this polyurethane water-based sealer. because it once it dries, the glitter does not move. It doesn't shift and it stays in place. And it's honestly my favorite way of sealing in my glitter. You just want to push up against the edges and make sure you get every part where there's glitter involved. And I love this because it doesn't leave like any streaks or anything like that, and it dries super quick. We're just gonna do this to both of the tumblers and the bottoms of the tumblers as well. Once you're done applying your polyurethane, I typically let these dry for about 30 minutes just to give it the extra time it needs to dry. Once you let your polyurethane dry, we're going to be applying our first layer of epoxy, and I did 20 mLs of both part A and B, so a total of 40. And we're just going to be applying this with a gloved hand all around the bottom rim of the tumblers and all around the tumbler itself. You want to make sure you do not miss any areas. You want to apply not a thin coat, but you do want to apply a generous amount to each tumbler, and make sure you get the tumbler all around. You just want to take your torch and go around both of the tumblers to pop any air bubbles. Once you let that layer of epoxy dry, we're going to be working on our decals. I did names for both of these, and I did an offset in Cricut Design Space using the same pattern vinyl that we used for the tumbler. And we're just going to be applying this to both of the tumblers. For this one, I did apply it differently, and I also wanted to take advantage and show you guys how to apply a decal or a name to your curved tumblers. I like to apply these, and I like to cut the transfer tape. Like, I make slits just so it makes it easier to apply, because since this is a curved edge, you want to get it as flat as possible as you can, avoiding any air bubbles or any wrinkles. Now right here you will see that I am going to cut the transfer tape, and this will allow the pattern vinyl and the vinyl to apply flat onto the tumbler. Now we're going to be adding vinyl strips to where the pattern vinyl and the glitter meet, and this will give it a much cleaner look. I cut these strips out with my Cricut, and I just took them off the backing completely just so I have more control of where I'm going to lay these down. You could also try applying this with transfer tape, but I prefer it this way because, like I said, I have way more control of where I'm going to be applying it. And if you have extra, you just want to trim it as close as to where the pattern vinyl ends as you can. Now you're just going to want to repeat the same process for all of the areas where the glitter and pattern vinyl meet. As to for the bottom of these tumblers, it can be a little tricky because the edge is curved, but once you get it down, you just want to press it down really well, and you can maneuver the vinyl strip because it is a thinner strip, so you have more control of where you want it to be laid down. When you're applying your vinyl strip to the top of the tumbler, you want to avoid applying it right up against the edge so you can avoid any vinyl outside of the rim. And also when you go to apply your layer of epoxy, all of your vinyl will be sealed in. We're also going to be applying our vinyl strip to the other tumbler since we are doing 2 at a time. And this is a bit easier because it's not a curved edge. You just go all around the tumbler. And I did leave a thin line of stainless steel exposed at the top, and this will help keep everything sealed in as well as the vinyl. Now we're just gonna do that to both ends, and if you have any leftover vinyl, you just want to go ahead and trim it off. Now we're gonna get ready for our final layer of epoxy. I went ahead and I mixed 20 ml of both part A and B, and I also mixed in an epoxy additive, and this adds the perfect sparkle to both of these tumblers. Just want to apply this layer same as the other layer. Make sure you get the bottom of the cup and the rim. If you need to sand before applying all of your decals, go ahead and do that. I did that off camera because I forgot to film that part, but I did sand the bottom of these tumblers because the bottoms are always the roughest. If you're applying glitter, they're always like pokey bits and you could sometimes feel the glitter. Just make sure that you do this before decals, so sand before adding any of your decals. This was actually the last layer of epoxy I added to these tumblers. So once I was done with that, I just let these spin. I popped on my air bubbles with my heat torch, and if you do feel any vinyl poking through or any glitter, just go ahead and go in for another layer of epoxy. So that is pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and do so. Also hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever we do upload. Thank you so much again for watching.